Hi, gardening friends. I'm going live with Mariah from Country Plant Lady. Get that right. I'm going to try and join her in. We're talking about our learnings in the patch. And I'm just going to try and join Mariah now. Can take a minute. Just give me a second. Oh, that was good. Hello, love.
Hello, how are you?
Hey.
Good. It seems like a nice day in
It is, it
Forbes.
is, it is,
Yeah.
and I've done videos in the morning, and I could normally find a shaded spot, but in the afternoon my front yard's in sun, so I'm right in the sun. You've done the right thing wearing a hat.
No, all good. How are you, Joe?
Yeah, good. We have been talking about for the last 2 years,
Yes.
like maybe I don't know, a good 6 months ago, and had a bit of a chat. But after seeing you at the Warren Open Day, we're like, we need to do a live. And
Yes.
you did so well. You were one of the guest speakers. It was such a great event.
Thank you. Yeah, I was quite nervous, as you know. But yeah, I think it was my first time speaking,
You did so well. You
you
did
can talk
so
so
well.
you can talk so much on Instagram because people aren't looking at you, but then when you add people into a room, your nerves just get to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely get that, because even when you're doing it live, you can see people joining, but you're just concentrating
Yeah.
on who you're talking to and any comments
And
that
what
come
you're
through.
doing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But,
Exactly.
but we thought we could just talk about some of our learnings that we've got from the patch. I'm such a rookie still. I think I'm going to call myself a rookie forever. Because there's just so much to learn. And I thought maybe for other newbies, we could talk about some of the things we've learned in the patch. Because
Yeah.
I think I'm like 2 years in. And what did you say, 7? How many years are you in?
Nearly 5. So
You
about
near
5
5.
years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know when we upgrade from beginner to, I don't think we ever, I don't know what the next step is from a beginner gardener. But
I feel like you're in the next step. I think you're going to be able to give some more insight to to what I can
I'll
offer.
try.
And I remember like connecting with you for the first time. I think it was last February, because I was out in my back garden where I tried to have a veggie patch before, and I went and bought a broccoli seedling from Bunnings in February, and it went to flower, and I'm like, what's going on? I had no idea. And you're like, it's bolted. I'm like, well, what? Okay, what's bolted
What
mean?
the
What's
hell is
bolted? Yeah.
bolting? Yeah. Yeah. And I think as beginner gardeners, I guess when I first started, like I understood that, tomatoes were summer, broccoli was winter. But what's that in between kind of thing where, February is the end of the summer period, you're not planting any more tomatoes. And like yourself, I think nurseries, especially the big ones like Bunnings, can sometimes confuse you because they do bring out seedlings a little bit too early.
Or too
Um,
late. Yeah, just different times. And
exactly.
I absolutely adore the ladies at our Bunnings here in Forbes. Like the Fee and Jackie are just so good. But they are just offering what is supplied to them. And the seedlings are really grown in a controlled environment somewhere else. And then they're put into Bunnings that are under shade cloths. And so like that's one of the biggest things for me, was like
Yeah.
seasonal planting.
Yeah, and I guess, yeah, it's very confusing. Like, I can only imagine what I was like when I first started. You go there, there's just rows and rows of veggies, and you think, what am I meant to be growing and how am I meant to be doing this? And I guess, as you said, the first thing you think of between you and me is the broccoli bolting. And
Yeah.
I guess that's probably something a lot of beginner gardeners do. So, for anyone that doesn't know, bolting is like when your broccoli goes to flower. So that's how the seeds are collected for your broccoli. So it'll be broccoli, cabbage, kale, um, cauliflower, anything like that. A cabbage actually flowers from the inside out, so it'll crack open and flower. But that's just because it's obviously getting too warm for that plant, so it's starting to bolt and go to flower, which is lovely for the bees, but obviously not very good for people that want to harvest broccoli or things like that.
Yeah, because I was like, what's going on? Where's my broccoli?
Yeah. What is this long thing
It
that's
just went
growing
straight
off
to
my...
flower. So I thought like we could talk about like some of the like basics, like
Hmm.
and then we can just get into some other topics. But really, like I've decided to put my veggie patch in my front yard because that's where I get the sun. I've got huge trees in my backyard. And so for me, that was one of my biggest learnings was like the positioning, like getting that 6 to 8 hours sun for most of your veggies.
Yeah.
Um, things I do things do grow in my backyard. It's a lot slower, and there's just some things just that aren't suitable. So positioning is probably like the number one thing, isn't it?
Yeah, see, my backyard doesn't have much shade. The only shade it's got is the chook pen. So I could have had my veggie patches anywhere. But yeah, positioned them along our side fence and it gets pretty much full sun from morning till night. So, but yeah, for anyone that's thinking of, oh, I want to put a new garden bed in or something, just sit back and watch your yard. Watch, what's the sun doing at 9 a.m., what's the sun doing at midday, and what's the sun doing at 3 p.m. Because, yeah, nothing's really going to thrive if it's only getting 1 or 2 hours of sunlight, like direct
Yeah.
sunlight.
And even my front yard, because when the sun comes up, there's a huge tree there, so that my first three beds actually it's about 1 o'clock. They're pretty much in shade. So even
Yeah,
though I've chosen to put it in the front yard, this garden bed grows a lot faster because it gets sun from morning pretty much to afternoon with those ones down the end. Like even you think in one space, but one tree can make such a difference to like your
yeah.
patch.
Yeah, the littlest bit of shade, it's going to make a big difference to your veggie patch. But yeah, as I said, mine are all in the full sun. So if it's very hot, like we get 45, 46-degree days here, I just use like shade cloth or something to just chuck over them. Um, that's if I remember. But otherwise, they just, yeah, on their own. If they grow, it
Yeah.
grows.
On that, so some summer plants are a bit heat sensitive. Like, are they ones in particular that you would worry about shading?
So at the moment, I've got capsicum, lettuce. I mean, lettuce is going to probably wilt a lot more in the warmer um, months because it's literally lettuce is pretty much just water. So it's probably going to burn a little bit quicker. So, plant it around something that maybe is going to shade it. I'm
Yeah.
probably not a very good example at the moment because mine are just out in the full sun. But no, I don't really worry about shading a
No,
lot.
I didn't last year. And we get the same kind of, maybe not as
Yeah,
hot as that, but we get extreme heats.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
don't really worry about that. But I just make sure that after a big hot day, you just give it a good soaking, the veggie
Yeah.
patch. I use the dripper line so it gets right to the base of the veggies. But other than that, yeah, after a hot day, fertilize would be my big thing as well. Because otherwise, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just gonna all shrivel up.
Yeah, and Leanne said, "Love the bird netting." Mariah, got three in
Yeah,
the garden, and I on that, yeah, I've got my hoops aren't as big as yours, but I just do the polypipe hoops as well and put a shade cloth over top.
yeah.
With that though, and that was one of my discussion points was like your veggies that need pollinating from bees though, you wouldn't net those, would you? Because you need your bees to get in and pollinate like your cucumbers and your zucchinis and your pumpkins and things like that.
Yes. So the only thing I net is my tomatoes and my capsicums or chilies because we get fruit fly here.
Mm.
Otherwise I don't net at all. So let me I've got my Fandangle thing. So here I've
Ah,
got my zucchinis, my beans and my cucumbers. I've never had an issue with fruit fly with any of these, so I don't worry about them.
so
Whereas
what's
if
fruit fly attack? Tomatoes, what else?
tomatoes, capsicums, chilies. Some
Yeah,
people
right.
say that they've attacked zucchinis and stuff, but I haven't had that
Yeah,
issue.
okay. Yeah.
Thank goodness. But I guess on that note, I do like for fruit fly, I think I can deal with grubs, I can deal with the
Mm.
white cabbage moths and stuff like that. Um, but the fruit fly, so because you don't actually need a bee to pollinate a tomato, because they can be pollinated by the wind, and we've had plenty of that lately. So my tomatoes should be all pollinated. But yeah, they can be pollinated by movement of the plant, so which is
Yeah.
very handy. I've probably netted a little bit too late Um, but yeah, netting for me is for fruit fly.
Yeah, well, luckily didn't have fruit fly here, but I seen your post about fruit fly, and it was just a littlest dot. You wouldn't even hardly know that they've been
No.
attacked.
And it's, yeah, when you open up a tomato and you think, oh my God, I can't wait to, put this on a sandwich or something, and then you cut it open, it's yeah, it's disgusting. But
And
I did
especially
grab,
like cutting you off already, but even if you're growing cherry tomatoes, you don't even you normally just chuck the whole thing in. You wouldn't even know until it's too late.
yeah, I think cherry tomatoes have a thicker skin. So
Okay.
my experience, it may be different for others. I don't think they attack a cherry tomato as much as they do like a beefsteak or a normal sized tomato. So a lot of people do grow cherries. At the moment, I've just got a cherry and mm, what are they? A yellow, like pear shaped.
Oh yeah, they're the best. I
Um,
love those.
yeah, so that's what I've got, and another one in my under little raised garden bed. But I thought I would show you. I just grabbed these out of the. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
use
awesome.
this. So it's Nature's Way. It's Yates. You can use it on fruit, vegetables, and ornamentals. So I use that. So you just mix it up in a spray bottle. People say to spray it on the soil because the fruit fly actually go dormant in the soil.
Yeah, right.
So netting's all good, but obviously you're
Is
netting them
that just
in
for fruit
sometimes.
fly, or you can use that on other pests?
No, this is just for fruit fly control.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yep.
that's that. And then I also use these.
Oh yes.
So
Yep.
you just hang them up. So in there is like the little trap thing, and then it dangles from here, and then you just, yeah, pop it on the fence. And then, yeah, I think it attracts either the females or the males, one of the two, but
Yeah, right. I'm just going back to a couple of the comments. Recycled Garden said you can net and hand pollinate. Yeah, so yeah, if you really did want to net, you could hand pollinate.
yeah.
And Leanne's saying the birds are into her lettuce. Oh, the birds are shocking. That's my biggest enemy at the moment.
My biggest enemy is the chickens. I'm going to try and keep them out of the drip pen.
So chickens or children and birds.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, great. And so you've noticed a difference. If you do those things, you can
you can at least get a bit of a
control.
harvest of
Yeah.
tomatoes or your
Oh,
capsicums and chilies. Yeah.
and netting
What
in.
when I guess it's a beginning gardener thing as well. When I first started, people were like, we get fruit fly here. I'm like, no way, we don't get fruit fly.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then yeah, I soon realized we definitely do get fruit fly here. But yeah, it's just another learning curve for all of us
Yes,
gardeners.
because I love to use the nets for if I put in carrot seeds, I'll net my beds because I find the birds just dig it apart. And then netting for the white butterfly during winter, like the brassicas. Yeah, if I'm not wanting the bed to be disturbed, like the netting's such a brilliant idea, and just getting the poly pipe and netting. And they
Yeah.
say like to let with the net like have it only the bird one, not the bug one, so your good bugs can still go in. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so obviously with fruit fly, I use the insect netting because otherwise
Yeah,
they're going to fly in and out as
yeah,
they please. But I guess if you're just wanting to cover, like, say, you want to cover your zucchinis or beans or cucumbers or something, definitely would just use the bird netting,
yeah,
just to keep those little pesky birds away. Thankfully, I'm pretty good here, besides obviously the chickens. But yeah, we've got blackbirds and stuff, but they
yeah.
don't touch the veggie patch. Um, but yeah, I would use the bird netting if you're just wanting to cover things to protect them from, you know, possums or rats or anything getting into the veggie patch.
Yeah, yeah. And while we're talking about like the hand pollinating before, so I did hand pollinate all my zucchinis because I found the bees weren't doing the job of the zucchinis, but I let the bees do the work on the cucumbers and they
Mhm.
seem to pollinate okay. So do you do your hand pollinating with your pumpkins and zucchini?
Um, I try not to because I feel like the bees should be able to be doing
Yeah.
their job, and we
But if
get
you
plenty of
yeah, sorry.
bees here. No, that's all right. Bees here. But yeah, sometimes you'll get the end rot
Yeah.
um, from it not being pollinated, and you can pretty much tell straight away if a zucchini or a cucumber hasn't been pollinated properly because the ends, it'll look like blossom end rot, but it'll be because it hasn't been, you know, for pollinated properly.
Yeah, and maybe if you start seeing a couple of your zucchini like that, then maybe start hand pollinating because the
Yeah,
bees aren't doing the
most
job.
definitely.
Yeah.
I actually don't have any male flowers out now to show you, like
Oh,
show them what
hold
they
on.
look like, but
Oh, this is oh my gosh, there's oh, there was a bee on it, bugger. There's no theme. There was actually a bee in here, but so yeah, that this is a pumpkin one, but there's no female ones out yet. I think they say early in the season they tend to
yeah.
be just males to start with, but yeah,
Yeah, so
that's the male there. Like, and then yeah, you peel that back, and then you
yeah, so my issue at the moment is I've got females, but
ah, you got the
no
opposite issue to me.
males.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So this one's obviously not going to be pollinated, so I can probably
No. And
just use
so
that.
then, yeah,
So you'll tell,
you need mine to go into
yeah.
yours.
So so you'll be able to tell. So this is like obviously a
Yeah.
female one because it has the fruit on the end, whereas this one is a male. It's just on a stem. So that'll have a, so that one there won't be pollinated. So I probably should
No.
chop it off and the other one. But um,
And I did hear somewhere, I would have been probably from Keith, like if early in the season that sometimes it's just the male, like just one of the flower will produce.
yeah. So this one obviously like it'll look different to a male. So that's a female, like the inside of a female
Yeah.
flower, and then the
Look,
male
look,
will
look.
literally, yeah,
Look
be a
like
stick.
that.
Yeah. So that's the male's obviously got the pollen that goes on here,
Yeah.
and then. But yes,
Yeah.
I don't have any males at the moment, so I should cut them off. But yeah, obviously, if you're noticing that you're getting a bit of rot from it not being um, pollinated properly, definitely give it a go and
Yeah.
hand pollinate.
Yeah, I find the like the cucumbers. I let them be. Some of them didn't pollinate, but the flowers are so tiny, and you don't know what the bees have done and not. Anyway, so the cucumbers were fine, but the zucchini hardly any mine were pollinating like on their
Yeah,
own.
yeah,
Yeah. We spoke about sun and positioning, like that's number one, and getting obviously spoken about this so much, but like healthy soil, getting your soil right. Like those are your main couple of things before you even get growing.
exactly. I think healthy soil equals healthy plants. If your
Yeah.
soil is not, you know, thriving and microorganism like microclimate for all the good bugs, then you're not going to grow great vegetables. And obviously a lot of like your followers and my followers are country people as well that don't have access to, you know, places that sell soil and compost,
Yeah.
or you know maybe they do but they don't have being able to go collect it or anything. When I first started with my veggie patch, I just got some like loam from our local
Yeah.
cement place, and some sheep manure, and that's my first thing that I've ever added into my veggie beds. And then I've added on from there. I've had mushroom compost, which is great, absolutely smells, but it was,
Yeah.
yeah, amazing veggies come from that. Just try and get your hands on some, you know, aged sheep manure or cow manure if you're in the country or live on a farm. But yeah, soil health, and then add all the good nutrients into it. If you obviously use what you can get, but then you can also add in things that'll make what you have delicious for the
Yeah.
um so I use what do I put in? I use Charlie Carp pellets. Um so when I'm refreshing, I just add them in. Um Worm castings from my worm farm. And then if I need to add like, you know, a couple of bags of compost, I'll try and get some decent bags of compost that you can get that doesn't have all that yucky stuff in it that you don't want. But yeah, just replenish over time and it'll keep giving you back all those lovely veggies.
Yeah. And do you like I replenish before every new crop? Do you do that before every crop?
Yeah, I'll add in fresh Charlie Carp pellets, and then blood and bone. A lot of us just have blood and bone sitting in the garden shed. So use what you, I think as a beginner gardener, you probably get a bit confused as to what to use.
Yeah, there's so much you can do.
There's so much you can buy these days.
Yeah.
Just probably use what you know and then upgrade from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, do a pH test as well. Sometimes you'll get soil and it'll be too low or too high. Um, but yeah, pH test you can just grab from Bunnings or a local hardware store or something like that and just check what it is
Yeah.
before planting.
Yes, because if it's too high or too low, well, definitely too high, your veggies won't grow. And then there's some things that like it lower, like your blueberries, like a lower pH. So there's a guide on the packet what your veggies like.
Yeah.
And then there's some things you can add to your soil to help
Yeah,
balance it
like
out.
lime, and things like that can balance out your soil
Yeah.
as well. But
No,
yeah,
yeah, I use a little bit of I use Keith Edwards' recipe for like his healthy soil. So like, and I love that. Like you use a bit of a different recipe, but that's what you've got available. It's like, you know, as long as you're putting all the goodness into the soil, there's different ways to do it. Because
yeah,
I was using when I first started, well, not first started because I didn't even know that much, mushroom compost. But I remember hearing Keith, and it might have been off Muddy Boots, saying that it dries out too quickly. It
yeah,
dries out the soils. So I don't use that anymore. I use, like, each time I replenish, a couple of bags of good compost. So I'm lucky enough to have Vince's Clyde compost at the moment. Otherwise, I've got access to Rocky Point.
yeah,
That's certified organic, or Chock-a-Block. But
yeah,
like, you know, we're both in the country towns. It's like, you know, you can't always get that.
yeah. And I mean,
Yeah,
Rocky Point's probably something. I think Rocky Point now is coming more to the country.
yeah, great.
I was at the hardware this morning and I seen a few more Rocky Point products, which was really good to see. Because I love Rocky Point. If I need a bag of compost, I'll go
Yeah,
get Rocky
great.
Point because that's all I can really get here. But yeah, there's so many, I guess, concoctions you can put together
Yeah,
to
yeah,
add to your veggie patch. But
yeah,
yeah, just add what you can get your hands on, I guess.
yeah. And the worm castings, I'm not at the point yet where I've got a worm farm, so I use Vera Soils worm castings, and they're based in Yenda. But I have to get it from a bigger outlet because they're not in Forbes, so I have to get it from Wagga or Orange. That's tricky again. And then obviously Monash rock dust as well, putting minerals in. So they're probably the main ones that I'm doing for that, for healthy soil. But we've spoken about healthy soil a lot. But I just think if someone's hearing it for the first time and doesn't know the importance, like, it's a game changer. Like, it's going to be
Yeah.
like the thing that's going to be
It's what feeds
successful or
the
not.
veggies and then what veggies then feed you. So you really need to think of what's in your soil that's going to provide nutrients and love
Yeah,
to those veggies that you're going to be able to harvest.
yeah. And if it's crap, it's going to be crap.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
to put it
like when I
bluntly, that's
first
pretty much
started,
it.
I just didn't even know. I didn't even know, and I
Mm.
just put crap in my first beds, and then I've had to try and fix them since then. Um, yeah, especially the back ones when I first started. Um, and then with watering, so a lot of veggies don't like to be watered on the leaves, do they? Do you water your soil rather than the leaves? Because
So
you've got a
you'll
drip line
find,
anyway.
yeah, so you'll find, so I used to have sprayers for my tomatoes, but I used to get blossom end rot, and it's
Mm,
like the bottom of the tomatoes go really soft, and that's usually either low calcium in the soil, I think, or from wetting the leaves and wetting the fruit. So I've moved to dripper line, and I just plant along wherever a drip is. And I find that works really well because you're not over watering the garden either. So you're not flooding. And especially it's good. I forget that I have taps turned on sometimes. So I guess when you have dripper hose, it's not going to
yeah.
flood, and it's not going to wash away all the good nutrients either. So I just use, yeah, the brown dripper line, and all three of my beds have that, and the beds down the back.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because, like, yeah, if you got a standard garden bed, it's either by hose or irrigation system. Wicking beds, obviously, you don't need to worry about. You just fill up the reservoir.
Yeah,
Because, yeah, you want the not just like spray and then it like kind of sits on top. You want it like a deep water,
yeah,
but then you can overwater, because I've actually rotted veggies because I watered too much. So it's like just testing it with your finger just to see if it's damp. Then if it's still damp, you don't need to water.
Yeah, in summer I probably water nearly every day, but probably not for a long period of time,
Yeah,
maybe 10, 15-minute intervals. Um, I find because it gets so hot here and I've obviously got the tin beds,
yeah,
sometimes it can dry out a little bit too much. So I just, yeah, morning 10 minutes, and then if we've had a like cranking hot
yeah.
day, another 10 minutes, and I find that's enough. And it's just all on a timer. So I just turn it around and that's it. You don't really have to worry about it.
Yeah, and the mulch helps as well to keep in the moisture.
Yeah.
I use who flung dung, but I have just put pea straw mulch on today because I just thought maybe my birds are horrendous in the front yard. I thought maybe that will be like a thing to stop them, and it hasn't. I've seen them in there since I put that on this morning. So
They
I've got
probably
the who
enjoy it.
flung dung. Yeah. They're like, oh yay, more to play with. Bloody hell.
I use Who Flung Dung too, but I find because I can't get it here and
Yeah,
it, you know, so I've put a layer out, but I think I might put a layer of, yeah, sugarcane mulch or pea straw or something on
yeah.
top, over the dripper line just to try and keep the moisture in.
Yeah, and I have heard, I say this in nearly every sentence. I have heard Keith say, and I think it was on Muddy Boots, he prefers the pea straw mulch because the sugar cane draws out the nutrients from the soil. I think that's the way you
Yeah,
say it, but he recommends a pea straw over a sugar cane. But the
yeah.
problem is, like, when our customers buy weekend beds, I find the pea straw compacts too much and breaks down, so I still like recommend a sugar cane over a pea straw for weekend beds in particular. So
Okay.
yeah, but yeah, at least you're using something. But yeah, that's the pea straw. I find
Yeah.
in my
Anything to
standard
try and
stuff.
hold the moisture
Yeah,
in.
yeah. So we got so that's like the fundamentals, like your sun, your good soil, test your pH, your water, and your mulching. And then with your growing, we've spoken about like seasonal planting. I like Ginger and Garden Club's guide. So like
Yeah.
find a guide that's in your area because there's no point me following like just the overall Australian one. I've actually framed Claire's, these are her. She's only a couple of hours from me, but she has beautiful
Yeah.
seasonal guides, and I've actually framed mine, and they're up in my kitchen. But I think the Diggers Club have them online, and
Yeah. And I
so like
think
that's the biggest thing is following the
yeah.
something that's
Gardening
relevant to you.
Australia also have one now, so you can put your postcode in and it'll kind of bring up what you can plant. Where do you find pea straw? You can get it from Bunnings.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's becoming more popular now over
yeah,
sugarcane mulch. So you
yeah.
may be able to find it a little bit
And
more.
I think like Forbes Mighty 10 have it here. So yeah, it's more available. I haven't had an issue getting it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um,
with the seasonal planting, because even like, say I'm following Claire's seasonal guide, but it's still down to the soil temperature. This is the one of the biggest learnings I'm having this year is like my backyard soil temperature is going to be different to my front yard. So like testing that because we're waiting for 18 for our tomatoes to go in. I was out there like every day checking, for example, and I
yeah.
just used one of these in the patch. I find like that's the easy. I think that you get it from Forestry Tools.
You're a bit
Um,
more fancier than me, Joe. I just pop them in and just hope for the best.
your personality though, I wish I had your personality because you're so calm and like cruisy. Where my brain's like, what are we doing? Okay, now I need to wait another degree before I can put the tomatoes in. I wish I was more casual because a lot of our customers are casual and I'm like they just put things in and things grow or they don't. I wish I was more casual, but if you are a bit more high strung like me, you can get a
Get yourself
temperature
a
check.
temperature gauge. If you're like me, you just plant it in and fingers crossed it grows.
I love it. There you go. It's probably like it's like, yeah, I'm more structured brain and you are like so calm and like cruisy. And I'm just so envious of it. Every time you speak, it makes me feel calm.
Someone just said, just bung them in. Literally, that should be my motto. Just bung them in and just hope that they grow.
I need to be a bit more like that. And
I think
yeah.
one thing that gives me the idea that it's ready would be I had like seeded tomatoes pop up in the veggie patch,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
and I think
same.
if they're trying to grow, it must be nearly time to pop them in. So I gave it another 2 weeks and I just bung them in.
Yeah, yeah. I seen Atla talk about that the other day, and I thought that's a really good point. Like, yeah, otherwise they're not ready yet. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was a bit impatient, probably went a bit too quick. Sally said, "Oh, Sally Pittman, you're another calm person, Sal. You're just so gentle." But yeah, talking about more structure, for the structured people out there, this is one of my like biggest guides for the month. It's the moon planting calendar. One, it gives you structure what to plant and when for your above ground veggies and your root veggies, but it's also working in with the moon. Like there's a bigger reason than just me needing structure. So
That's another thing I don't do, Joe.
for
Another
the
thing, I just
structured
bung the
people
seed.
out
I
there,
just bung the seeds in.
okay, this is on my learning list, not yours. But yeah, Keith talks about this a lot, and yeah, like I actually like the science behind it as well, and how there's water in veggies and that reacts to the moon. But or you can bung them in and do that as well.
I'm probably the calm to your chaos, Joe.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, thank gosh, and because I work with my dad, he's just so calm. Like I'm a storm, and he's so calm. I think you need that balance. Like
Yeah.
I could be like having like oh no, like oh no about something or stress. He's like it's all right. It's gonna be all
Yeah.
right.
Kurt's like that too. The world could be ending and we're all, and he's just like, oh no. And I'm like, but then when it comes to gardening, I just, yeah.
And it's so funny because when we said we're going to do this, like 10 minutes later, I sent you this. At least, oh, I just kept thinking about all these things I've been learning. And you're like, yep, sounds good.
Sounds good, Joe.
Okay, let's move on. We could laugh all day. So like actually going to grow, like with seeds,
Hmm.
some people that are beginners feel it's too overwhelming to grow seeds or you might be time poor. And some people might just go and buy seedlings. But I would always recommend buy like your root veggies doing seed. It makes no sense to me to buy root veggie seedlings from a store. Like they're just so easy just to put into the ground.
Yeah.
Do you
The
agree?
only root veggie I really sometimes buy from the store is beetroots, but I make sure that they're small and I plant them in. I separate them and plant them in straight away. But yeah, carrots, sprinkle, cover with sand, and away you go. Beetroot seeds, I soak them because from one beetroot seed, I think you can get like 3 or 4 beetroot
Yeah,
plants.
some of them do come off with a couple of
Yeah.
shoots.
So because they're so hard, I just soak them. So I usually like in the morning, I'll soak them, leave them for a few hours, and then just put them in the patch. But yeah, anything root veggie, you're better off buying seeds and sowing them. Everything else I would suggest as for a beginner gardener would be to buy seedlings from a nursery because there's 100 million tomato varieties, there's so
Mm.
many zucchini varieties, capsicum varieties, cauliflowers and everything. It's just so overwhelming. So I think for that, buy from seedlings. For root veg, turnips, carrots, beetroots, anything like that, buy seeds. They're so easy to grow.
Yeah, and like this is the turn of tables here. So my beetroot, I just bang them in. I just like every 10 centimeters, 15. I put them straight into the soil. I don't worry about soaking them, and I just seem to like have the best like beetroot harvest. And I wouldn't buy seedlings because I can do like 50 seeds at a time. Like I've always got beetroot on the go, so I just banged them in, and they do so well.
Yeah, I think carrots are probably the hardest to grow, to make sure that they're straight, but you're growing them in your backyard. They don't need to look like something from the supermarket shelves, I guess.
Yeah, and with that, like what I did learn from Keith is like if you've got soil and you haven't loosened it and like your carrot's growing and it just hits anything like that,
Yeah.
like a little bit of a clump, it's gonna create a leg and it's gonna skew off and start going somewhere else. So just making sure that like you've really loosened it, and
Yeah.
they like depleted soil.
Yes.
So Keith says, put in your carrots after your tomatoes because tomatoes are such a hungry feeder. So they've used up all the nutrients and carrots grow best. And I did that. My carrots were like unbelievable. So I just made sure it was all loose.
And I
And I
guess
know some people add sand to theirs as well.
and if you're wanting to fertilize, just do like bare minimum of fertilizer in the water, because otherwise you're going to get so much green top
Yeah, too much
and you're
growth.
going to get no carrot. So it'll be,
Yeah.
this lovely top, and you think, oh my goodness, the carrot must look amazing, and you can pull it out and
Yeah.
it'll be this big.
Yeah. Leanne said her nonna looked at the moon calendar. See, there you go. That's sweet. Yeah. So, and then if you progress into growing above ground veggies with, um, like seeds, you can use your paper pots, but we can talk about that. It's like Keith's got posts, and you've done the paper pots as well. I find them easy, but that's probably a whole topic for another day. So, yeah, look, I'm like, basically I try and grow everything from seed these days. There's things like strawberries, like I buy strawberry plants for those,
Yeah.
herbs and things. There's some things I just don't bother with because they're too hard.
Yeah, I've tried strawberries, but it's too hard to try and get them to grow, and sprout. So spend the $4 and grab a strawberry plant from
Yeah,
the nursery.
yeah. If anyone's got questions as we go, pop them in. So we're more focusing on summer, but we did have to wait for the last frost for our spring veggies. Like that's huge. Like some plants, veggies, like are just not frost tolerant.
No.
Like yeah. So your tomatoes, your potatoes, your sweet potatoes. Yeah. So you need to wait with some
Yeah, I
veggies.
guess that's one thing I do keep an eye on is the, frosts, and keeping an eye on the weather and things like that. And I guess a lot of people are actually still getting frosts. I seen this morning on Instagram, like Young had a frost. I think
Yeah.
Sally just said before that it was back to 4 degrees overnight.
Yeah. It was
Um,
3 here. Yeah. Yeah.
so
In Canberra, they had like -3 this morning.
yeah, so you can cover your veggies. Obviously, reading the weather is like, you know, it just does your head in, because you don't know if it's going to be hot one day, cold the next, is there going to be a frost? So I guess if you do plant things that need protecting from frost, use like a sheet or something that'll keep the frost out but protect your plants in. It's not always guaranteed, but it'll
Yeah.
try and help them to try and survive that cold weather.
Yeah. Or yeah, and try and like plan outside of the frost periods.
Yeah.
And that was probably the next thing I was thinking, like growing times. Like if you've got a couple of garden beds, like some veggies take a really long time to grow, like garlic, can take up to 9 months. And then like you've got like beans that only take a couple of months. So it's like you do need to be mindful. Like if you're used a whole bed with something that takes 9 months, but then it's laps over to it's spring. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a
Yeah.
little bit of planning where you want things.
Yeah, so I had a designated like bed for my garlics and my beetroots and things, stuff that I was just gonna leave and let go. Um, but now my garlic's harvested, and I had really good garlic this year, which I was
Oh,
really
that's
happy
awesome.
about. But my main three beds I just designate to like the
Short term ones.
season, yeah,
Yeah, that's a good
and
idea.
then roll them over.
Yeah, because I've got like that one there. That's all onion. That's still got a little way to go. Hope maybe a couple of weeks. That's all beetroot. So yeah, those beds are basically I can't use those yet for summer veg. So
Yeah.
yeah. So if you only got a couple of beds, just be mindful. Yeah, of
Yeah,
your
so I've got
longer growing veggies.
tomatoes, beans, cucumber, and zucchini, and then my next bed's capsicum, tomato, and lettuce. So yeah, I kind of just plant in the beds for that season, and then once they're
Yeah,
done, replenish, and then for the next season.
yeah, very good. I have a whole list. Yeah, so with that, so lucky tomatoes. So there's two different types of like you got determinate and indeterminate. That was something else I've learned. So like with your indeterminate, it means there's no limit to how tall they can
Yeah.
possibly grow. So they like need stakes or like, growing frames to support their growth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't, and this is another thing, I'm just such a casual gardener that I just let them go crazy. So I think that's what these ones are, because they grew amazing last year and went
Mm.
out of control. Whereas I have another variety this year that I'm trying. Let's go on a little tour.
Yeah, nice.
Um,
I'll show you my tomatoes in the background while you're there. So I stake all my indeterminate ones and I just let them go wild. I just make sure I've got airflow down the
yeah,
bottom, like cutting the couple off, but I don't pinch or anything like that. I
no.
just let them go wild.
So this is a
Probably
dwarf
time.
variety. So I don't.
Yeah.
It'll probably get maybe a little bit taller.
Yep.
Um, but I've let. Yeah, like I should probably be pinching like stuff like that off, but I don't. I'm just too relaxed. That's
Yeah,
my.
well, there you go. Mine's probably more just like it's too big of a task to keep on top with. And mine just had so many tomatoes. Like I was seeing different people's posts about them, like they don't pinch and that, and they still get an abundance of tomatoes.
Yeah.
It's not like a rule breaker that you must go and pinch them. Like they're still going to grow.
Yeah, and then these ones here, these will grow, yeah, quite wild. I need to tie them up again, but yeah, I just let them go. You should be pinching off the laterals, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, I don't either, actually.
That's my motto, don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
There you go. So I don't worry about some things. If it's in the too hard basket, I think it's because I had such a successful tomato season last year. I just let them go wild that I'm like, oh, I'm just going to do that again.
Yeah, just let them
Um,
go.
and that's
Whatever's
the
worked for
same.
you before, just keep doing it.
Yes, until it stops working.
Yeah.
um, and that's the same with like beans. Like there's either bush beans or climbing beans. So it's really looking at your packet because if you got a climbing bean, for example, you're going to need like a frame for it to grow up.
Yeah.
And if it's a bush bean, you're just going to need a little stake kind of to stabilize it.
Yeah, so this year I've gone for, usually I do blue lake beans. They're a massive big climber.
Yeah,
But this year I've just gone with, and I think I just read the label, just like a bush bean.
yeah. I've got a bit of both going on until the birds destroyed my climbing ones. Yeah, so just like, yeah, check out what you're getting. So there's some things that are indeterminate, determinate, and bush variety and climbing.
Yeah,
Um,
just yeah, read the packet before obviously you sow them or you buy them from the shop and think of the space that you're going to plant them in. Are you going to have to add a trellis for it to grow
yeah,
on and things like that. But yeah, I've just gone with the bush varieties this year.
yeah, I've got a bit of both. Um, Oh yeah, so I was going to show this is my show and tell. So with my seeds, I started with just a little container, but with my seeds now, you can get these from like Kmart, and I actually have two of these.
So handy.
So I've got two of them, and apparently Keith says keep them in your fridge because they last longer. Your seeds because heat does affect their like lifespan. So my top shelf has got like just seeds. Um, so that's that. Um, with we could go on forever, but with your pests, you've spoken about like your netting, and if you're using any solutions certified organic,
Yeah,
like
I
don't you?
try my best. Obviously, I still not with the veggie patch, but I try and use as organic as I can with the veggie patch. But obviously we still use Roundup, with the weeds and stuff in the backyard. But you can get this from from Yates. You can get this one, and then there's a more of an organic certified one. But I use this like Veggie Dust. This is for caterpillars, aphids, and is it thrips? Thrips,
Yeah,
whatever that
okay.
little
I need one for
thing is.
slugs at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you can
okay.
use the veggie, it's low tox, and I don't think it's got I always check if there's a withholding period because I feel like if there's a withholding period, I probably really shouldn't be putting it on my plants because, yeah, I'll forget. Um, this one's only a day, so I'm not obviously not going to pick a veggie and eat it the same
Yeah,
day
okay. Yeah, yeah,
but that I only use that if yeah it's really bad, and usually
yeah.
I only use it on my cabbage and stuff like if the caterpillars are overtaking.
Mm.
Otherwise you can use like this, it's a eco oil, um
Yeah, that's what
caterpillars,
I use.
aphids,
The
orange bud,
chaperones.
scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a withholding period, and if it does, like I always, if there is a withholding, the smallest amount of withholding period. But yeah, this one you can use for tomatoes, brassicas, cucumbers, leafy green, leafy veg, fruit trees, indoor, and citrus.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so aim for certified organic.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I just did that video with Alicia the other day, so it was about companion planting, so getting some herbs. Oops. Oop, you there? Sorry, lost you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so like the companion planting, getting some herbs and flowers in there that also just what's the word? Um, what's the word? Deters pests. Like
Yeah.
it helps, but I find like you probably need a lot of them for that to happen. I feel like one little herb in each garden, like I think I need to up it a little bit more.
Yeah. Actually, I come from Warren. I actually come home and pulled out all my dill because I remember she said that dill can stunt the growth of tomatoes. And where I had planted my tomatoes
Yeah,
was
right.
this lovely big dill thing, and I felt so bad because the little bees and stuff loved it. But I was like, no, Alicia said to remove them, so I was
Yeah, that her talk was so good. I've actually got yeah, for any beginners, like grab your hand, like this is the complete patch, and it is really great for beginners. And then you can just like read through, tab it, and all those things. So yeah, I've enjoyed reading that one.
And I
Um,
think, like, for beginner gardeners, I think there's so much out there and it's so confusing. Like, so there's just so much information and your
yeah,
brain just explodes. And
yeah,
I think, find someone, if it's on Instagram or Google, or someone that you kind of resonate with. Maybe you live in the same area as them, and kind of, follow what they're doing. Because yeah, there's so much out there. As I said before, the different things you can put in your soil might be different to like what the next person's doing, but that doesn't
yeah.
mean you're doing it wrong.
No,
It
that's
just
right.
means that you found something that works for you.
Yes, definitely. And that's what I like. I love all my whole page is basically based and aimed for beginners because I think it can be so overwhelming. And yeah, Keith Edwards is basically my main gardening guru who I follow. There's a few different things I've picked up from other people as well, and listening to Muddy Boots. That's always great to get some tips. But there's just so many, like yeah, even gardening with Michael yourself. Like there's just all the pages to follow, and then eventually, like I'm 2 years in and think I'm finding my own personal groove with it, like things
Yeah,
that work well. I think I read somewhere it can take like 4 years to find your flow of
yeah,
gardening. Like I remember like my brain hurting for like the first year, and it's slow. Like I mean, it still hurts a bit at times, but it's like I know now what I want to put in my garden beds. I've got my planning guide that works for my. So it's just
yeah,
eventually things just become a bit more second nature, and it's not so overwhelming, and you can be enjoying it because that's the whole idea is that like you are growing veggies, but it's meant to be like a space for your well-being as well. And I
yeah,
really do. Even though I'm a stress head, and you can tell that, like I really do feel calm in the patch.
yeah,
Like, and I'm okay with things not working because I just think it's not a fail. I don't call them fail. I just think they're all learnings. Like it's
yeah,
just a journey. Like
yeah.
yeah, and just to enjoy it and not pressure yourself too much.
Yeah, and I think that's like a beginner thing is you need to just grow what you eat.
Yeah,
There's so many things you can do, but give yourself a year at least to try and start. And then maybe next year you dabble into a different type of zucchini or a different type of tomato or anything like that. But yeah, it's just big wide world of gardening, and
yeah,
we're all trying to do it our own way, I guess.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to wrap up. I have to go get Frankie from school in like 9 minutes. And that's the thing. Like, yeah, you can go off into all these different things. I do compost now. I haven't like nailed it, but I am composting. I went to go do sourdough, and that was like, no, Joe, don't do that yet. And anyone that hasn't, yeah, followed your page, like gardening and you're the sourdough queen, and I see it maybe in 30 years in my future. It's just too overwhelming for me. So it's like, yeah, you can go off and do all these things, but it's just like finding, yeah, just simple as possible for yourself without overwhelming.
Leanne, what do you suggest for a single veggie for a pot apart from chili or eggplant? You can grow zucchinis in pots because then you can grow them
That was smart.
vertically.
Yeah, I'm going to do that too. And
Um,
tomatoes, I've seen people put even tomatoes,
yeah,
ginger.
maybe a patio tomato like I have. I just got that one from Bunnings or Mitre 10 or something like that. And they only grow like 30 centimeters or something.
All right, lovely. I'm going to have to
Okay.
love you and leave you. When we met in Warren, I felt like I had known you for years. Like I just
I
was like,
know.
oh my gosh, embraced you with the biggest hug. It was just so nice to meet you there, and that event was just fabulous. But we finally did a live after 2 years.
Yes, we did.
Done.
Thank you so much
Tick.
for having me.
Thanks everyone for joining on. I hope you've learned something, and I'll put this as a as a post. But I've just got to go get Frankie first.
Okay.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Big love.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.